Welcome to Office Hours at TradersPost for November 18th, 2025. I am one of your hosts, Peter I Need a Haircut Hartman, part of the marketing team here at TradersPost, joined by, uh, alongside Mike Christensen, co-founder and CSO. He laughed, so he may be distracted. That's his fault, not my fault. We're always working to make TradersPost better day in and day out. Each week, we take a deep dive into all things TradersPost, answering your questions, gathering your feedback, and helping you get the most out of the best advanced trade execution engine available. To that end, we encourage you to submit your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end of the stream. Today's stream is brought to you by Blue Sky, the best in class prop firm that offers same day activation, daily payouts, and no max restrictions. But we'll tell you more about them later. First, a little housekeeping. Price Action Live happens live on Traders Post Tuesdays, Tuesdays and Fridays, where
Mhm.
we trade I shouldn't say we, it's Tom and Mike trading the open. On today's episode, we had Randy Baines as our guest from ASFX. There was a great segment where we discussed setting up immediate trade buttons in TradingView. I've actually seen this done a few times. It's pretty cool. So it's absolutely worth a look. We'll be looking at that here shortly at the beginning of the stream. But first, I got to say, Mike, how you doing?
Doing well. The weather has been crazy here in Colorado. Apparently, we're going to have one of the latest winter first snows ever on recorded history. I think the latest in history was December 10th of 2021, which totally makes sense, lines up with the whole global warming thing. Prior to that, I think it was November 21st in 1924 or something like that. And we're going to get our first snowfall, I think, on the 20th. If it goes even longer, then we'll probably break that 1924 record. So
Wow.
it's been really nice. You can see outside; it looks really nice. It's getting a little bit colder, but I've been enjoying the warmer weather. That's for sure.
But you like the snow. Like you got things to do when the snow shows up.
Only if I'm snowboarding, but
Okay.
otherwise, I prefer summer all year long. I want to be on the
Oh.
beach. I'm very much a warm weather guy.
Ah, I see. Do I remember right? You weren't born in California, were you?
I was, yeah, Northern
Okay, well, so
California
that
and San
explains
Jose.
it. That explains it. All right, cool. I'm Canadian, and despite the fact that I was born here and lived here my whole life, it doesn't overcome evolution. I was biologically designed for a much warmer climate.
Well,
Awesome.
I think we're gonna need to decide where our next all hands ends up for Traders Post. I think,
Hey.
somewhere closer to the equator. That sounds pretty good to me.
Sounds good. I got some suggestions. In the chat, we've got Tom Hartman, but we don't care about him. Be Blue. Hey guys, how you doing? We care about Tom. Tom's great. Mike won't tolerate me sliding Tom and him not saying something good about him. So I gotta
Oh
bring
no,
that
I
back.
very much encourage the brotherly banter. That
Oh,
works for me.
okay, good. Tom says, "Give me snow or give me death." Give me death. I like that. That's funny. Uh, Good to see you folks in the chat. Thank you for everybody who's watching here today. If you got any questions, please let us know. We got actually a full list of questions here, so you're going to be learning some stuff. But do you want to be the creator of your own reality? Do you want to direct your experience? So why wait for other people to ask questions? Ask your own question, and you can direct your own story. That's a little bit of my motivational Peter that came out there for a second there. I haven't seen him for a while.
I feel motivated. Let's go. I have questions.
Awesome. Tom's like, "It too, Mike?" Yep. Yep. Look, he's not here. We get to stab him in the back.
I'm
All
an
we want.
I'm an equal opportunity banterer. I want Peter to banter with Tom and Tom to banter with Peter. It goes both ways. I definitely don't choose favorites on this one.
Fantastic. Speaking of choosing favorites, Randy Baines is quickly becoming my favorite. He was on Price Action Live here today, and
Yeah.
Mike, you talked with him about setting up immediate trade buttons in TradingView, and I thought it
Yep.
might be fun to just show people a clip from that.
Yeah, before we get into it, just a little context to kind of set the table. There are several different ways in which you can send signals to TradersPost, and it doesn't have to just be TradingView. Of course, you can use TrendSpider, you can use your own custom environment. You could use Zapier or Discord. There's like all kinds of different places where a trade idea might come from. Lots of people, of course, use TradingView because it's a very robust charting tool, and you can set up indicators and strategies. And you can also, of course, just create basic alerts. Um, what I was doing for a long time was setting lines, horizontal lines on the chart, where if price crossed over that horizontal line, that would trigger an alert. And what I realized is I don't necessarily have to use the lines. If I'm ready to make a discretionary trade right now, I just need a button, a play button that's a go button of some kind. And that play button allows me to send a signal to TradersPost right now with the rules about how I want to get into my trade and how I want to get out of my trade. So what you're going to see in this video is a play button instant activation alert that's going to come from TradingView with the current price from M&Q, and it'll have a take profit and a stop loss attached to it. As the day goes on, I might change some of the parameters of that message to adjust for my take profit and stop loss levels, because I like to adjust my take profit and stop loss based on where ATR is at. If ATR is really tight, I might make it a little bit tighter. If ATR is really wide, I might make my position size smaller and make the bands a little bit wider. So it just kind of depends, but I have control over that just by editing the message and hitting the play button, and it will execute the trade right away. But by all means, go ahead and hit the clip.
Actually, just before I do that, you said something that made me wonder, is this something that you only recently started doing, or is something you've known about but you just haven't done?
It was kind of a no duh moment. It came from Tom. Tom was like, well, if we want this to fire immediately, we can just put price is greater than zero, because price would always be greater than zero. And I'm like, no duh, of course that makes sense. Why don't just set up alerts with price greater than zero? I don't need all these extra conditions or indicators or even a line on the chart. I just have if price is greater than zero, which it always will be, then the moment I hit play, this alert is going to fire.
Fantastic. All right, let's take a look at this clip here. All right. You'll let me know if you don't hear the audio, okay, Mike?
Sure. That way, at least I have something in place for risk management. Hang on one second. Don't hear the audio. I might be able.
You don't hear the audio. All right. Okay, I think it's going through on stream, but you're not going to hear it.
Okay, no worries. I know what I said today.
Okay, cool. Actually, I'll put on the captions, and that way I know that's good practice. I'll just leave it that way because it's not there.
We'll put on a trade while we're talking about this. So for both the scalp and the trend strategy, they have their own sort of strategy-based rules, and then I have all my prop firm accounts connected to these strategies. I'll have different setups here. First is the scalp strategy here. And let's say, for example, I want to get into a long. Well, what I've done is I've created an alert. I'll just make a new one so you can actually see how this process works. I'll say price is greater than zero. And what that's going to do is trigger an alert right away, because the price is always greater than zero, right?
Yeah.
So then I paste the message in for what it looks like to go long, which I have as a template on my dashboard here. So here's a long entry signal. I can build one on TradersPost. This is the easiest way to do this, by the way, is to go and type in the symbol that you want to trade, and then put together some of the parameters of the entry, and then save your signal template here and tell it that it's going to be on TradingView. And if you do that, it'll just give you the JSON that you need to paste, and you can save this on your strategy dashboard as well. So I'll use my long entry message here, which I'll just copy from this one. And this includes the symbol, the quantity, the price, the time, the take profit amount, and the trailing stop amount. And then I'll paste in my webhook URL for that particular strategy, the scalp strategy. And then at any point in time, I can now just click this play button, and it's going to trigger off that alert right away to that webhook URL. So these are sort of my button entries. Sometimes, though, I'll still use the lines on the chart. I'll have trend lines on the chart or scalp lines, which trigger entries and exits to those same two strategies.
Interesting. I want to set up the button strategy also, just to see how I can have my exit lines set up on the chart with my longer short position drawn.
Yep.
and
Yep.
then just be able to hit the play button for the entry. And then obviously the execution will show up in TradingView, depending on what accounts I'm trading, whatever account I have attached to TradingView. And I'd just like to see, and then are you able to just hit that play button again and add into a position?
Yes. That's
Okay.
exactly right. And that when it adds to a position, it has its own take profit and stop loss. So it doesn't, unless you're on Project X, it doesn't
Yeah,
revise the take profit and stop loss,
perfect.
which is nice because that allows me to kind of cascade my trades in TradeView.
Perfect. I just got to step away and use the bathroom
Oh,
for.
oh. All right. Well, that's actually that's pretty cool. I really like that. One thing I love about Price Action Live compared to other live streams where people are trading is that you don't only get an education about trading, you get to see the use of the platform. You get to see TradersPost. And, I thought I'd seen everything, but here we go. Another thing that you can do, another aha moment, something that can make your life easier. Randy seemed actually pretty interested in that, looking to get that set up for himself. So
Yeah.
you want
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
you watch Price Action Live, you get bang for your buck. You get education, you get to see how the platform is looking, and you get some good entertainment.
Yeah, no question. And I think, the main thing to point out here is all of this is really only necessary because we need to get the current price from the market in order to structure our take profit and stop loss trades properly, because TradeView doesn't provide market data from the API. So if they did provide market data, I would just execute the trade from the TradersPost dashboard. I can go straight to the strategy dashboard, fill out the order form, hit go. But then, of course, I'm going to run into that market data problem where it doesn't know how to set up the take profit and stop loss. So this just makes it a little bit easier for me to get in and out of my trades from TradingView, watching the chart, using my indicators, and do it all from the TradingView environment. But of course, that this is just one of many different ways in which you can wire up signals to TradersPost. We're a very versatile platform in that sense.
I've been having a lot of fun with TradersPost setting up my bot strategy. I was trying to copy the Alpha Arena. Basically, I want AI to trade for me. I've seen enough of TradersPost content to know that probably the safest way for me to trade is to not trade me personally at all, to let an AI do it, because sure, it might mess up, but I'm clearly destined to lose. So to dip my toe in the water, I kind of wanted to set up some bots and see how they trade. Plus it's fun. I love AI. I like to see
Sure.
the choices that they make.
A lot of
And
people are doing that now.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Can you imagine? We talk about the dead internet theory, right? Like, there's like half the internet is all
Yeah.
bots.
It's like a quarter of it or something like that. And it's all bots now.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
and that's just what they'll admit. I mean, who knows? But I can imagine a dead market theory where you have like half the people trading are bots or something. I don't
Sure.
know. I envision this future where everybody has their own trading bot, and why wouldn't you? Because it's as easy as spinning one
Right.
up.
This is part of my problem with the efficient market hypothesis. If I can go into the academic side of this for a little bit, are you familiar with the EMH?
Well, from what you and Tom have talked about, yeah.
Okay. So it basically postulates that all actors involved in the market are basically rational actors, and that there's an economic reason for their trades, and that the price that arrives in the market today has everything baked in the future into it, and that the price that you see at the moment is basically the most rational price for that asset. And I would argue that the market is anything but rational, particularly when you have so many participants that are trying to create an edge in the market and experimenting with strategies. They may believe and operate under the idea, or at least over the short term, that they have something that's economically viable and a rational choice to involve themselves in. But you and I both know how many times people trade in very irrational ways, which just leads to the whole complex adaptive system theory, which is that the market is one giant stochastic machine of random activity. And it comes from stuff like this, where a bunch of people now are going to start creating AI bots
Right.
and trying to put on trades that create live price action in the markets. And they're not necessarily the best trades. So the good news is from all of this is that as people build these AI systems, they have an economic incentive to leave it running if it's doing well, but then stop using it if it's not doing well. And we're going to get the best of the best that comes out of this. I'm still
Right.
very curious. How is the new agentic competition going? The one that we had looked up recently.
The last I heard about it, it was closed, so I don't think they restarted it yet. Let me go and see.
They're
Here's
doing
some
another
information.
season soon, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to be tweaking some things, so they're working behind the scenes. For what I've noticed, that their deadlines often get pushed because they're dealing with something new.
Sure.
But last I heard, there's no new update. But because I remember following it before it was launched, and there was a little bit of noise about it, but not too much. Then it was launched, and then even Elon got in on the conversation, and now it's like just like we wait for new models, people are waiting for the new season of Alpha Arena. So there's something new and exciting to that we're waiting for, but I haven't seen it pop up yet.
Got it. Cool. Well, I'm excited to see how that continues. Obviously, these types of systems are going to lead to some really interesting ways in which people express trades or put trades on, and it could end up being very counterintuitive.
That's true. Tom in the chat is saying here, Randy was saying that he gets news he doesn't normally see during price action live, like how the New York Fed did an emergency meeting this weekend, or how zero DTE's options can affect markets.
Yeah. On the subject of zero DTE options, I spoke to I spoke to a contact that we have over at the CBOE, and he was telling me about how much trading activity they're seeing now through zero DTE options.
Mm.
And the most popular instrument for zero DTE is the SPX. And now the SPX itself represents over 50% of all the notional trade volume of zero DTE options across the entire market. It's an incredibly liquid instrument,
Wow.
but it also is like where everyone is flocking. So super interesting to learn that most of the price action we're seeing on ES, and of course its corollary, the NQ, which has many S&P 500 components inside of it, is all kind of driven by all this price action that's coming from retail trading in the SPX index options.
Listening to a few, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Every time Mike speaks, he triggers my mind. It makes me think about questions and things I want to say. We're going to get to the questions here very, very shortly. But listening to a few of the trading bot sessions, I shouldn't say a few, I listen to them all because I am there and
You edit them all.
edit them. But I get the sense, and I'm not sure what it was. I meant to ask you this. Zero DTEs, sometimes people talk about it as though it's super dangerous and not good for like traders to do, and then sometimes it seems like, oh, it's a great opportunity for people to make money. So what's your thinking there?
I think the benefit behind it is that it has less of an impact from time decay because you're on the last day. What's left there is what's left, and so really it becomes more of a directional instrument. People use it because they have some kind of bias about which direction they think price is going to go, and they don't have the negative impact from time decay as a result. That said, it just like any other options instrument, it has the downside of the premiums being very expensive, and it can ultimately be pretty costly. That said, I don't have the most recent data, but I remember reading a stat years ago that was explaining that the vast majority of options contracts actually end up worthless at expiry, and that a lot of that type of trading never ends up in huge profits. It just depends on your accuracy and being right. So
Right.
everyone's trying their hand at it. Not my thing. I prefer to stay in futures. I tried options for a long time. So I don't have as much of an expertise on the subject as maybe Tom does. He's a bigger fan of options.
I don't think he does options anymore. I think
Yeah, well, then there might be a reason for that.
yeah,
We'll let Tom chime in separately on that subject.
totally. All right. Well, we got some questions here. Before we do that, I want you to hear a word from our sponsor.
Looking for a prop firm that actually plays nice with automation? Meet Blue Sky, built for serious traders. And with TradersPost, it just clicks. You connect Blue Sky inside TradersPost, route your TradingView signals to paper or funded accounts, and let it auto-manage entries, stops, and targets. You control risk per trade, filter by session and symbol, and pause or resume with a single switch. Every fill is easy to review in one dashboard. Funded accounts can request payouts daily with launch plans starting at $49. Get funded with Blue Sky. Execute with TradersPost. Apply today at bluesky.pro, BLUSKY.pro, and plug in your edge. Trading involves risk. Use proper risk management.
Awesome. All right, let's see what we got for our first question here. Hello, I had an issue overnight. Somehow, both my trailing stop and take profit fulfilled instead of one fulfilling and the other canceling, which resulted in some kind of double sell, and then it opened me into a position with no safeguards. I only got out from the position due to my daily profit cap. This is from Blake A. Mike, what are your thoughts on this one?
So we discovered that this can happen, especially if your take profit and stop loss are fairly tight. Um, I don't know what venue or exchange this was on, this particular trade from Blake. I'll assume it may be futures. But I've had this exact thing happen in my
Right.
own account, especially in volatility events where you have, in my case, I was two NQ contracts short with a take profit and stop loss 10 points away on either side, which is a fairly tight take profit and stop loss. This is only off by $10 either direction. And Trump had just tweeted that they were going to implement tariffs. I think this was on October 10th or October 11th, somewhere around there. And both sides of my take profit and stop loss were executed, which means I actually ended up two contracts long NQ while the market was tanking. So I lost thousands of dollars on that trade in sim funded money, but I lost those accounts. It was a pretty big hit on my side. So I get it. It happens. The execution engines, of course, are going to do their best to try to execute the one trade and cancel the other. But if markets are volatile and price action can move very, very quickly on either side of your take profit and stop loss, it sometimes is it's a race condition event where the exchange is attempting to cancel the other order if the first one gets filled. But if the market is moving so fast, those two things may happen at the same time. I would like to investigate this particular one to see if the take profit and stop loss were properly set with the broker and which broker it was and which asset class. So maybe you guys can send me the link on this email later.
Yeah, we'll take note of that to send that to you. I have a notepad and pen around me all the time because if I don't write things down, I don't remember them.
You're telling me. I use Sensama as my task manager, and I'm constantly adding new things to it, so I don't forget.
Next question from Jackson H. Hey, I was just wondering if I could connect my TradingView live data packages to TradersPost to get rid of the delay on TradersPost live paper trading. This is from Jackson H. Yeah, I think I answered this question.
So let me dig into that one in just a moment. Tom did say that last question we had previously, it was Tradeovate and it was the same issue that I had. So same answer still applies. It's just because market volatility can cause that to happen from time to time. It's usually during flash crashes.
Gotcha. And well, I guess there's no like fix for it, right? It's just like a black swan event. It can kind of happen.
Yeah, I mean, so the only safeguard you really need to have is essentially keeping an eye on your strategies. In my case, the price action moves so fast that
Right.
in the 2 seconds it took me to even look up where my position was, I had already lost $3,000 and hit the max drawdown for the day. So, all of it happened so fast that didn't even trigger the automatic daily loss limits with the account, which are already built into the account. This just shows you that
Right.
even the mechanisms that are built into the platform can't keep up with price action at times.
Good to know. All right, this question here. So I was just wondering if I could connect my TradingView live data packages to TradersPost to get rid of the delay on TradersPost live paper trading. Jackson H.
So yes and no. I think what we're understanding from this message is that you can send over the signal price, which of course would create an order in the TradersPost paper account. You called it a live paper trading, and that part confused me.
Mhm.
Let's assume we're talking about the TradersPost paper account. You can send it over as a limit order, and then you can send another like take profit or exit signal with a limit price as well, and that would sort of simulate what would happen in those trades without slippage. It is worth pointing out, though, that the TradersPost paper broker has a lot of limitations that don't really simulate perfect trading. It's really just to test signals and make sure that they're coming through properly. It doesn't have a slippage model built in. It doesn't handle limit orders with take profits and stop losses. There are some limitations that aren't going to make it execute the way you might expect. We do recommend that you connect your broker that has a paper trading environment, as often those simulators are a little more sophisticated than the one on TradersPost.
Thank you for that one. All right. I was actually just experiencing this because I was setting up a paper trading with Webull, and I was like, well, first I did it with TradersPost, and then I realized there were some limitations. Then I had to go off platform to somewhere else. But it works. It works. Next up, Deepak A asks, may I know what's the right way to post an aftermarket 24-hour market trade signals?
Are we talking about stocks? Did we get much context on this one?
Let me see here. May I know what's the right way to post on aftermarket? I'll find out from Tom if this one's stock related. We can move to the next one for now.
Yeah, if we find out it's futures, then of course it's not really a 24-hour market, it's 23 hours. There is a maintenance window there, but the way that you would want to set it up is to use the electronic hours chart, and then your signals can come at any point during that period of time on TradingView. If you're talking about stocks, it is a similar solution. You have to make sure your chart is set to the extended session, and then you can trigger signals to occur in the extended session, or in the pre-market extended session as well. That alert needs to go to a TradersPost strategy where extended session is also enabled. So you have to make sure that that setting is enabled on TradersPost as well for stocks specifically.
So Tom is saying it's futures.
Okay, if it's futures, then yeah, you just make sure you use the electronic trading hours chart, and you can send signals during the 23-hour period, and that will send off a signal to TradersPost at that time. We don't have any limitations on our side about trading the electronic hours on TradersPost. So really, it's contingent on how you set up your signals in TradingView. Feel free to reach out to us on support, and we can help you set up with that one as well.
Awesome. Next up from Cassie H, how do I upload my own bot code to TradersPost?
What a good question. I think that's something we may explore in the future. At the moment, though, we receive trading signals only. So that means that your bot code can live in all kinds of places. It could be a custom environment of your own. It could be TrendSpider. It could be TradingView. Wherever you build your automation is where you're going to send a signal to TradersPost. We've considered the idea of having an environment where you can write your own bot code, but that's not something we're doing anytime soon. It's definitely down the road. At the moment, we want to be the best execution platform, not necessarily the best signal generation platform.
Yeah, but that webhook, as long as you can have your bot code somewhere and send that signal, then TradersPost very, very useful for that, for sure. All right. And it's actually good to be kind of a platform agnostic with your bot code, right? Because I've set signals from Claude Code, I've set signals from Manus AI, I've set signals from different places. So I think Tom did it from Shortcuts app on your iPhone. So I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, TradersPost has to be the place where my bot code has to live. I want TradersPost to be, like you say, the best trade execution platform, for sure.
Exactly. So I think we're going to stay in that lane and try to build the best system possible for that. But that said, we see the opportunity to help on the bot execution side as well. There's ideas that we can explore.
Will I be able to link a friend's TopStep account so long as I pay the extra live account fee? This is from Jericho D.
There's a couple problems here. One is that TopStep does not support that. You need to look into the terms of TopStep about trading somebody else's account. They don't want you trading other people's accounts. It's got to be your account. It has to belong to you. You can pay the extra paper account fee. You said live account fee here, but I think we need to be clear about whether you're trading a simulated account or trading a live account. In the case of it being a live account where that friend has been called up to live with TopStep, then you're more than likely violating some kind of rule with TopStep that you want to avoid, because we paid a lot of money and spent a lot of time on these accounts. You don't want to break any rules with the firms where they can very easily take that account away from you.
And don't they do things like where, sorry, maybe the account doesn't get taken away from you right away, but you get to a payout and then they refuse your payout?
Correct. Yeah, you might feel like everything's working because nobody's saying anything, and then you go to the payout stage and they go, "Oh, we figured out that you're trading somebody else's account, so or your
That's right.
account has been traded by somebody else, so we are going to deny this payout."
Makes sense. And if I get any sense of what's going on, they are going to look for opportunities to deny your payout. If so don't break the rules. All right. Zurai M asks, I connected my Robinhood account. Do I sit back and watch now?
Sorry for laughing. I just there's a lot to unpack here. So it's unclear whether you have a strategy connected already. Just connecting the broker alone definitely is not enough. That's the first step. From here, though, we'll need to actually find a strategy that's working on something like TradingView, for example. Make sure that the indicator works. Send it to a paper account for several trades and make sure that the entries and exits make sense. And then eventually you can get to a point where you've now connected that to your live Robinhood account where it can trade on your behalf. So maybe we need a little more context on this question.
Zoraya, definitely reach out to support. I bet Trevor is going to love to answer this question for you. Look, I empathize with him, right? I'm in exactly the same situation. You're like, okay, I got through step one. What do I what do I do now?
Sure.
It can seem very complicated. That's
It can.
why watching subscribing to a channel like TradersPost can give you insight into all kinds of areas. I've watched different trading channels and they start like in the middle of the story, like I already know how to trade. But with TradersPost, from beginning, middle, and end, you can get some information there, and you get support as well. So whatever can be done within reason, just reach out. But I like that question. It made me feel connected, made me feel like I was not alone. All right.
And
So
understandably, it is the right question for somebody at beginning stages of the journey here. We do make some implicit assumptions about your stage as a trader. Understanding where your trade idea is going to come from and how signals actually work and how to send those alerts to the platform. So there are some expectations that you've got some experience here. Unfortunately, Traders Post isn't for everybody. You got to have a little bit of that experience out of the way.
Well, actually, something, and we've talked about this in our meetings, something that's been growing is the amount of times ChatGPT is helping people with Traders Posts. So,
Yeah.
heck, I mean, start asking your questions to ChatGPT. It'll source you to the content that you need to see and learn. Learning, you should not be intimidated by learning new things now because AI is making it a lot easier. And we are seeing a lot of people get exposed to Traders Posts because of ChatGPT. So don't let your journey end just because it gave you our website. You can start asking questions and learn. Ask it for a strategy. Ask it, how do you figure out a strategy? Where can I get that stuff? How can I get going?
That's right.
Daniel S asks, would be great to have rhythmic support. This will open many doors for everyone.
It's something we're looking into. We've observed the platform and the API, but we've got some work to do to figure out if it's going to be a good fit. Um, Rhythmic is built on the CQG rails. And so our understanding is we get a lot of benefit from integrating CQG, and it's something we're still exploring.
Interesting. Mike just said a lot of things that I don't understand. CQG, ChatGPT, here I come. All right. How come I cleared my notifications and then I can't find them again even after selecting filters? Preston A asks.
Well, you can find them in a couple of different areas. So you're referring to the notifications screen on the dashboard, and when you click on that, you're able to read them all. And I recognize that there's a date range connected to that. But if you want to go back and see the history of all of your incoming signals, then click on account and then click on signals, and you can put in the same date range there. And what that does is shows you all of your incoming signals over all of your accounts and all of your strategies. And that'll really help help you explore everything that's come in, even if you've cleared your notifications. The notification screen is kind of an ephemeral, temporary spot for you to see anything that was recently sent. But if you want a much more broad history of everything that's happened, then head to account and then click on signals, and that gives you the history of everything.
Awesome. All right, we got our last question here. Before I do that, I want to remind everyone that YouTube is not free. Okay, it costs one like. All right, one like is what it costs, or subscribe, whichever one you want to pay. It's not free, so don't mooch. If you enjoy the content here on Traders Post, we've got a lot that's going on. Not only do we have Price Action Live happening Tuesday and Friday, trading the open, we've got After Hours, which is a aftermarket commentary show that takes place on Friday at 4 p.m. Blueprint, really popular show that takes place on Thursday. That's with Tom. That's the only downside. It's with Tom, and he he codes there live in front of you. And if you ever have any ideas, you want an indicator made or something like that, it's a great opportunity for you to do that there. And then, of course, we have Office Hours, which takes place every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we answer your questions. All right. So like and subscribe. That's the whole point of that. Last question. If I have TradingView alerts that require like 4 alerts from a 4 certain tickers to go off within a 5-minute window, for example, will that work? IOW can Traders Post handle multiple simultaneous alerts for different tickers to the same webhook?
Yes, we
Green
can.
B.
However, please be aware of how race conditions can play a role and position sizing can affect your purchasing power. So let's break this down. Let's say you have 4 different alerts from 4 different tickers, all in stocks: Microsoft, Tesla, Google, Amazon, and they go off within a 5-minute window. Yes, that will work depending on your position size for each one. If I have a $10,000 account and I'm buying a share in each, I probably have enough purchasing power to get into all 4 entries at the same time. You can also use the percentage of equity feature, which could be 24%, or I think in some cases, some people use 24.5% to account for, slippage on the entry plus fees and things like that. Then that'll let you get into 4 positions and use roughly 25% in in each in each position, each ticker. Sorry, I got sidetracked here with Tom trying to pick on Peter in the comments, which is always fun. Uh, in other words, yes. So the answer is yes. Just be aware of how these positions could affect your purchasing power. Now, if you had, let's say, those 4 same tickers go off, and then you sent a second signal for Microsoft, and you already have a position open, that could cause a conflict as well if you meant to add to the position or exit the position. So it certainly is possible to do, but I think we would need to just diagnose what you're trying to accomplish a little bit more carefully. In general, though, this is a very common way in which people use Traders Post, is to send off multiple alerts at the same time and manage multiple positions at the same time. Totally doable.
Awesome. And to the same webhook, the fact that it's the same webhook doesn't like cause an issue?
No, and I can explain what's happening under the covers a little bit better too. The webhook URLs basically go to a service worker infrastructure under the surface. And what that means is that when you send a webhook URL in, you're connected to a single server on our system, and that single server now handles your task. And then that task can be executed on its own, independent of anything else that's happening in the environment at that time. Sending it to the same webhook URL doesn't make a difference, because behind the scenes, it's been captured by one of the thousands of service workers that handle each of these tasks. And what that means is that it doesn't make a difference if you were sending it to the same webhook URL or 4 different webhook URLs. It all ends up with the same separate 4 workers. Sometimes you can end up on the same service worker, but we're just talking about compute resources at this point. It has its own independent task that the software is designed to execute, that doesn't collide or conflict with any other webhook URL in the environment. It's more just an entry point to this service worker environment.
Awesome. Oh, thanks for explaining that. I appreciate it. All right. Adventurer Trader says, sorry, just saw this was live. We forgive you, Adventurer Trader. We forgive you. All
Thanks,
right?
Trey, for showing up regardless. You're always here, and whether late or early, we enjoy having you here.
100%. And we enjoyed having you all here watching us here today. Really appreciate it. Hope you got learned some things here today. I'm happy to be here with Mike. I got an education, and yeah, I'm going to be doing this every week. Tom is out of here. So I really appreciate you folks one more time. That's it. That's it. We did it.
Cool. Got through all the
All
questions. Few that we need to follow up on.
Yeah.
Happy to gather those in support. But some good questions as always.
All right. Everybody, take care. And as always, happy trading.
Cheers, everybody.